All right, so let's get to it, folks. This is the big news. Senate Bill 1023, the Idaho Medical Freedom Act, was vetoed by the governor. Now, just to give you up to speed exactly what this bill did, let's bring up some of those bullet points here and we'll go through them. This bill basically updated the Coronavirus Stop Act, which was already law, and this would expand the freedoms that we should have when it came to a coronavirus outbreak or some sort of intervention for coronavirus. This would just cover all medical interventions, and so this is what it did. These are the bullet points that we've been sharing. Broad prohibition on mandates for government, businesses, schools. They shall not require medical intervention to participate. And the reason why businesses are included in here is not because we want to tell businesses what to do. It's precisely the opposite. It's because businesses have been feeling pressure. They have been under threat of penalty if they don't go along with what the government is mandating or suggesting. Right? The government says you shall wear masks, you shall require a vaccine, and then businesses, if they fall under OSHA and all sorts of other government regulations, feel the need to push these mandates on you, and they don't want to. Some don't want to. Many don't want to. This is Idaho. Most of the businesses, especially small businesses and Idaho-based businesses, they don't want to do this. We don't want to do this to each other. So this bill would prohibit that from happening. So it actually gives business a cover. It says, look, the law says I can't do this no matter even if the government tries to mandate it at a federal level. So we're not going to comply with the demands from the federal government or anybody else. We're going to choose to do what we want to do. And so we are not going to comply. And so it's a pro-business bill. The other thing, of course, is it protects individual choice, safeguarding individual rights to ensure no one is compelled to go under medical treatments. It gives legal recourse. It provides for a civil cause of action for individuals who are harmed by violating this act. It also defines what medical interventions are. And this goes to a big part of what the governor's veto was, because in his letter, and we can go ahead and bring up that letter. I'm not going to read it verbatim here because I don't have it printed out in front of me. But this is the letter that was issued. You can go to the governor's website. I'm sure it's also been posted on X and Facebook and all over the place. But basically, the governor's big issue here was that he said that this bill may not allow for teachers or administrators to send somebody home if they're sick. And that's basically the crux of the letter. And if we go, yeah, there we go. There's his fancy signature at the bottom. But what's fascinating about this is that the bill doesn't do anything like that. In fact, it defines what a medical intervention is. And that is saying that you have to require and mandate that you undergo a medical intervention in order to participate at the school, whether it's being enrolled, whether it's being employed, whether it's simply entering the building for a function. We can't be doing that. I've seen some arguments from senators, especially during debate on this, is that it would eliminate the vaccine requirements for children to attend school. Well, even though there's a vaccine requirement per se to attend schools, there's also exemptions. And so if you're a parent that doesn't vaccinate your child for one or more, of the various things that are out there, you can simply file an exemption for no cost, for whatever reason. You don't even have to define a reason. You can just say, I want to be exempt from this. And so there really isn't a requirement to attend school. And this codifies that and says, and there won't be a requirement of medical intervention to attend school, because there already isn't. In Idaho, you can exempt from any sort of medical intervention when it comes to vaccines to send your child to school. And so that's where it stands now. So that it's really a moot point. It's a moot argument there to claim that this bill does that. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next slide here. Yeah, there we go. No emergency loophole. So even in a future crisis, a government cannot revert to mandating medical interventions without violating this law. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is the entire point of this bill. It's about the future. It's about the future. You heard many people who were defending the status quo show up and say, well, what if there's something even more serious that comes down the line? What if there's something else that we don't even know comes down the line? We may need to institute 6 feet apart, or maybe 8 feet apart, or 10 feet apart, or 12 feet, or 2 miles apart. Like we may need to mandate masks. We may need to mandate full. What do they call it? Full body suits, right? We may need to mandate all sorts of things. Well, look, that's the whole point. No, you don't. There won't ever be a reason for you to violate my individual rights, right? That's right there, full stop. Okay. And like many people have said, especially during the pandemic, if acid rain was falling from the sky, like literal acid, and it burned your skin, you don't need to mandate people to not go outside and stand in the rain. Okay. Like we're going to do it. Like by and large, most people will do that. Won't go out there and do that. The intent of the bill is clear. This bill is a direct response to the reactions to the situations that we went through during the 2021 pandemic. And it was passed to remedy the trampling of our liberties. And it also, of course, has an obvious exemption for hospitals, which is a place where sick people are, where communicable diseases are treated. That is a place that is exempt from these mandates, and that is common sense. So there you go. So that's what this bill does. So as you can see, scrolling down at the bottom, along with the bills that have been the status of some bills, scrolling along the bottom are the phone numbers of, and maybe we can do something where we can just have the phone numbers up. We don't need to be following those bills, because this is the big thing right now, folks. You need to call your senators. We're going to have the scrolling down below is the senators who voted no. These are the folks that voted no on the bill in the Senate. We need to convince these folks to vote yes to override the veto. So, here we go. These are the senators that voted against. You can see that they're right at the bottom. So we need to tell them to override the veto. Senator Burnt, that's his direct line. Senator Blaylock, Senator Burtonshaw, Senator Grow, Senator Guthrie, Senator Harris, Senator Lent. Those are the Republicans, I believe. And then you have the Democrats, Senator Robbie, Senator Semmelroth, Taylor, Van Orden. Oh, she's a Republican. Oh, these are just in alphabetical order. And Ward Engelking, Senator Wintrow, and Senator Woodward. These are their direct lines. They're on the floor right now, but light them up, folks. Light their phones up. Get their assistants who are answering those phones to just start hearing from you. Call every single one of those numbers and tell them to please override the veto, especially since the governor's letter was so weak in its argument, because the bill says nothing about the fact that teachers can't send a child home if they are sick, if they start coughing and they call up mom and dad and say, hey, look, little Aiden here is not feeling well. You need to come pick him up. Or we discovered lice on Bella. In Bella's hair, she has lice, so you need to pick her up and bring her home. The school doesn't need to say what they need to do, right? They're not mandating that you go get a shot or that you go get a certain kind of medical intervention for whatever is ailing the child at that moment. They're simply saying, go home. Just like we've done for thousands of years, folks. Go home. If you're an employer and your employee comes in sick, you can say, hey, take a sick day, go home, right? Go home. Work from home or just go home. Don't come in here sick and get everybody else sick. I mean, that's just common sense. It's what we've done all the time. And this bill does not say you can't do that. I mean, that's just absurd. So that is those are the numbers scrolling down there below. We'll have them up. Call each and every one of them. Light them up, folks. Light them up. Light up those phones. We're going to keep tabs on this. Okay. Over on where was it? some background on 1023, because I want you to hear it from our legislators and from folks like you out there. Some of this stuff. So, just to give you a quick overview, here is Representative Rob Beiswinger presenting 1023 in committee. And hopefully, we'll show this to you because hopefully he'll be able to come on to the program after the top of the hour and give us an update on his end on what he's hearing. But here's how it went in the committee when he first presented it.
1023, or the Idaho Medical Freedom Act. I'll just give a little bit on it. This takes the Coronavirus Stop Act and uses the same language and principles and applies it to all medical interventions. It's an idea whose time has come, and I wish I could take credit for writing this bill. Just a quick overview, one of the reasons I ran for office was because after the COVID stuff happened and the vaccine came out, the school in Horseshoe Bend, where I live, tried to put the students in an assembly together and tried to give the COVID shot to the students and said, hey, we won't even tell your parents about it if you'd like the shot. So that's a big motivation for me running and other health freedom kind of issues here.
Can you believe that? I mean, that's what we saw, folks. That's what we saw. We saw all sorts of outlandish reactions to during the pandemic. For a school to say, like, we're gonna offer you the COVID shot, you don't have to tell your parents. Holy cow, right? I mean, this is unacceptable. And many people ran. Many people woke up. You folks who are watching the show, you probably never even involved yourself in state politics before until COVID happened, until the pandemic happened. And many good folks have run for office, and now we're seeing why elections matter, because we finally have this bill, which has been tried before, to get to the governor's desk, and then the governor vetoes it on the weakest argument. I mean, I gotta say, I thought they were going to start pushing back on this whole notion that you can't tell businesses what to do, even though we tell businesses what to do all the time on how they need to do this and that. I mean, there's plenty of disagreement I have with the things that we do tell businesses what to do, but the fact that we do tell businesses what to do, and we continue to tell businesses what to do, and that's always been what this country has always done. It doesn't look like telling businesses what to do is gonna find its way overboard anytime soon. So as long as we're telling businesses what to do, why don't we tell them to not harm their customers, right? But that's not even the issue here, because most of the time the businesses didn't want to do this. The businesses say that their hands were being forced to have a vaccine mandate in their industry, right? I mean, maybe they were just throwing shade. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that this bill will actually protect businesses. It'll say, hey, even if the government somewhere down the line starts saying we need to do X in order for you to participate in having business with us, we're not going to do that because the law is on our side. And that is what's so crucial about this bill. And school districts. And any other agency, and the courts. This protects them. This protects them as much as it protects you and me. So this is a good bill. And we know it's a good bill because the governor, the only reason the governor gave was because he wanted to ensure that teachers were able to send sick kids home from school. That was the crux of his letter. That was it. Dr. Ryan Cole. Do y'all remember Dr. Ryan Cole? Idaho's very own Dr. Ryan Cole. He testified in committee on behalf of this bill, and we wanted to highlight him here because he had an interesting, and I don't think we have it, but he had an interesting Twitter post or X post a week or so ago. Once this bill passed and the governor was waiting for the governor's signature. But here is Dr. Ryan Cole in committee standing up for this bill. Let's listen.
Chair, I'm Dr. Ryan Cole. I'm an MD, Mayo Clinic trained, board certified anatomic clinical pathologist representing myself. Thank you, Doug, for allowing me this time, and thank you, Chair and committee members. Those who would give up essential liberty for a little safety, temporary safety, deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. If my pen were a needle and I said you couldn't come into this room and you don't know what's in it, and I were the higher authority, would you have come in this room today not knowing what's in it? If this piece of gum were a pill and I said you couldn't come in this room today unless you take this pill and you don't know what's in it, would you have come into this room today? If this lip balm were a cream that I said you have to apply on your body before you come into this room today, and I declare myself a higher authority, would you have come into the room today? I highly doubt it, because your bodily autonomy is what matters over anything. Any medical intervention has risk. And where there is risk, there must be choice. A mandate takes away choice. I've heard a lot of stuff about vaccines, this, that, and the other. This isn't about vaccines. This bill is about medical autonomy, the authority of you over your own body and nobody else. Since when does a business have a medical license, a license to practice medicine? How many businesses in this state for years practice medicine without a license? How many schools are trying to practice medicine without a license? Spent 17 years of my life after high school to earn the degree I have. And I don't know everything. None of us do. But we sure got it wrong during COVID for 5 years. And that was 5 years of intervention on the human body with things that didn't work in retrospect. What we're trying to do is protect the bodily freedom and autonomy of the citizens of this fantastic state. Thank you so much.
What a great guy that guy is. I mean, so well-spoken, so reasoned. Idaho is extremely lucky to have him here. Not only fighting on behalf of our individual rights and certainly in the medical arena, but just to have his knowledge and stuff at our fingertips here in Idaho is very good. And he's exactly right. Look, folks, we just want to be well informed, right? No one is. I don't want to say no one, but I mean, me personally, I'm not against vaccines. I'm not against medical advancements, right? We just need to know what's in them. You have to be informed, and you certainly can't be forced to take something in order to participate, right? I mean, that's it. We can all agree on that. Whether you're like, the biggest vaccine advocate out there, or whether you're the biggest skeptic on vaccines out there, I'm certainly both can agree that no one should be forced to take one in order to participate in society, just in basic society, I know when you go into the military, you've signed your body over basically to the government, and the government says you got to take this to serve and go overseas and go over. I mean, I have so many military guys. They're like, dude, I've been stabbed and jabbed with so many things. I have no idea what's in my body at this point. But you know what? They're still living. They're still here. So there's something to be said for that, perhaps, as they travel the world. But that being said, once again, like, it's just this is just about making sure that nobody is forcing you to undergo any sort of medical intervention in order to participate in society. It's the basic thing, and we saw those rights being violated over and over again. Okay, so the interesting thing, especially here in our neck of the woods, is that there was a big so the veto happened, right? The veto happened, and it happened on Saturday, and that happened to be the day that a lot of legislators were meeting up north in Kootenai County for a town hall debate. Now, in Kootenai County, there's many legislative districts that cover Kootenai County, and so you had a lot of legislators. I think is it 9 or 12 legislators that show up at the Kootenai County town hall, and not everybody was there, but I think a good healthy portion or so, about 10 or so, showed up for this, and the subject of this veto came up, and we were lucky enough to have a clip from there. So let's listen to that.
Senate Bill 1023 was just vetoed this morning. What are the next steps? Is it veto-proof?
It is in the House. I don't think it is in the Senate. The Senate only had 19 in favor, I believe. So they don't have enough votes to override the veto unless they use the power of the procedure.
Can you explain 1023 briefly, just as a help for the room? so that everyone knows what we're talking about.
So I'll just say broadly, 1023, Senate Bill 1023 is taking what we did with saying there can't be the stuff what we did with COVID restrictions and broadening it so it applies to all medical procedures. So you can't have forced medical procedures mandated on you as a provider or a business, yeah. So that's just broadly what it does. And as far as the House has the numbers, the Senate, I received a text up here already and requesting a list of who we can go to try to convince them to help with the override. So we don't have the numbers based on who voted for it. That doesn't mean that we can't whip the votes and try to get those numbers. It'll be an uphill battle.
And I'll just briefly say, so 1023 came through the Health and Welfare Committee, and it was, in my opinion, an excellent bill. It did just provide for medical freedom for individuals throughout our state. There was a lot of national publicity on it as well, including, when DeSantis was visiting with us, he was like, hey, I love that medical freedom bill. There was, it probably fits really well in line with the RFK initiatives. So there's a lot of national support for it. And again, I think in the House, we will be able to override that veto. However, the Senate will have a little bit more difficulty. But, I think the grassroots can kind of stimulate some of that and try to, get senators from around the state to look to override that veto if it is something that they truly care about and this state cares about.
If I might just add a little bit here, just a bit of procedure. Basically, it's a Senate bill, so if the legislature attempts to override that bill, it has to be started in the Senate. So we will know right away if they attempt to do it because it's a Senate bill. There's something to be said in the whole procedure. If the governor overrules the legislature, basically, suddenly it becomes more important than the bill. Suddenly you're looking at, basically, this was the will of the legislature, and the question is, will the legislators and senators stand up for the process and support an override or not? I've actually seen where we had what I thought was a done deal, a veto-proof majority in the Senate one time on a bill. After the governor vetoed it, 5 senators changed the other way, and they were not able to override. So we actually did override a bill a couple of years ago. That's the first one in my 13 years. So, and so who knows, but we'll see.
Yes, we will see. We certainly will see. Folks, scrolling there at the bottom is those senators who voted no on the Idaho Medical Freedom Act. This is where you need to get activated, everybody. Call your senators right now. We are live. We are live. The senators are currently on the Senate floor. I want their phones ringing so loud that they hear it on their floor. Get those phones ringing. Call up those senators. Senator Blaylock, Senator Burtonshaw, Senator Groh. These folks down here scrolling at the bottom, they voted no. And they need to turn their vote around and override the governor's veto, especially in light of the governor's reason. I've seen many people that probably would have maybe have supported this bill look at Governor Little's reason for the veto and say, that's kind of a weak argument. That's a little bit of a stretch for if that's the only reason why. And so therefore, support the process. You're the legislature. You're the ones that make these rules. And the body has spoken. The House has an overwhelming majority. You heard Elaine Price in that clip there say that they have the votes in the House. But in the Senate, it's going to take at least I think 5. It's going to take 5. Well, one was absent. Senator Ben Adams was absent for the initial vote. But for all intents and purposes, everybody is saying that he would have voted aye. I don't think he's on record as saying he would have voted aye, but he's never really indicated that he wouldn't be for this type of thing. So Senator Adams would be the vote number 20, and then you need 4 more votes. You need 24 votes in the Senate to override. So you need 4 more of these senators scrolling there at the bottom to override and come on to the side of preserving your freedom, folks. That's what this is all about. That's what it's all about. All right. What was the other thing I wanted to say about that? The comments are coming in. Damon says that Ben Adams, throw that one up. Damon says that Ben Adams was a former Marine. Was that the one that was just up? Yeah, he's a former Marine. So he knows all about having your body jabbed and stuff. So anyway. All right, folks, it looks like the House has adjourned, and hopefully that means if they don't go into a caucus, or if Representative Beiswinger doesn't get stopped in the halls, that he will join us sometime after this break that we're headed back into. And the Senate continues to debate other bills right now. They're on Senate Bill 1202, which I don't know exactly what it is, but I'll let you know when we come back. So we'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.